This is the video for the second part of the review that you were working on Friday, which is today. So this was where we left off. We were working on graphing this inequality. So the first thing that we're going to do is take this top inequality and we're going to put it into a graph as a relation. And I actually already did that right here. I'm going to go ahead and click Menu, Trace, Graph Trace. Whoops. Menu, Trace, Graph Trace. And I'm going to get some points from this. So 0, -2 is right here. I'll go ahead and try -1. Oh, that's not good. -2, still not a nice point. -3 gives me a nice point. And now I can see that I'm going up 2 over 3, so I can keep using that slope to plot the rest of the points on this inequality. Now, when you have inequalities, please remember you could have dotted or solid lines. This is a solid line because it includes the line in the solution. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my solid line. And I can see I'm shading above this line. I'm just going to put some arrows there so that I remember to do my shading, but I'm only going to shade my solution set. So I get 2x plus 3y is greater than or equal to -6. So don't forget to sign the line. If I hit tab, I can enter my second inequality, which is x is less than 3y plus 6. And now if I hit Menu, Trace, Graph Trace, and I press my up or down arrow, it will take me to my red graph. And this is going to be a dotted line because it doesn't include the line in the solution. So I've got the point -3, -3, which is right here. We'll try -4. That's not good. -5, no good. -6, -6, -4. And it looks like I'm going back 3, down 1, or up 3, forward 1. I want to remember this is a dotted line. I'm going to make that very clear in my drawing. And it looks like I'm shading above this line as well. So when I look at my graph, where do both solutions fall? Both solutions fall in this top piece of my graph. Notice it says label the solution set S. So make sure you read and that you've answered all the parts. The next thing it says is the point 4, -2 in the solution set? So I'm going to go ahead and go to 4, -2. And I can see, no, it is not in the solution set. Even though, let me just do this, I think. Oh, this probably won't show up on your screen. Never mind. Even though it's like right here on my calculator, okay? Even though it's right here on my calculator, it's in one shaded area, but not both. So here it says explain your answer. So is the point in the solution set? No. The point does not lie in the shaded solution set for both inequalities. So it is not in the solution. Okay, let's do 20. Use the quadratic formula. So quadratic formula, make sure it's equal to 0, which it is. Identify A, B, and C. And then you'll grab your reference sheet And on that reference sheet is the quadratic formula, so you will copy it down. And then we're going to store these values in our calculator. So I'm going to go ahead and take 1 and store it as A. -4, store it as B. And 1, store it as C. The first thing in my quadratic formula is -b. So I'm going to type that in. -b is 4. Now I'm going to type in b squared minus 4ac. And at this point, Trevor would say to me, wait. You've got to put multiplication between those. And he would be correct. So 4 plus or minus the square root of 12 over 2a is 2. Now, it says round to the nearest hundredth. If you look at the number 100, there's 2 zeros after it. So this is 2 decimal places. So my first solution is 4 plus the square root of 12 over 2. And my second solution is 4 minus the square root of 12 over 2. However, it wants me to round it. So I now need to create my fraction in my calculator. And if I hit enter, I get 3.7320 ... to 2 decimal places. That would be 3.73. That's my first solution. My second solution is 0. To 2 decimal places, it would be 0.27 because the 7 will round the 6 up. Now, always go back and reread it. Use the quadratic formula we did to solve round solutions to the nearest hundredth, which we did. Just as a quick review, let's say they said write your answer in simplest radical form. Let's just take a minute to quickly review how we can reduce a radical. 12 is 2 times 6. 6 is 2 times 3. If you have a twin, you can leave the house. So 2 gets to leave. 3 stays under the radical. So this becomes 4 plus or minus 2 radical 3 over 2. To reduce this, I'm going to divide. I notice the 4, the 2, and the 2 can all be divided by 2. That becomes a 2, a 1, and a 1. So my answer would be x equals 2 plus or minus 1 radical 3 over 1. Or you could just omit the denominator because dividing by 1 is the same. Okay. Oh, I'm getting a phone call. I'm going to Okay, so now we're solving this inequality algebraically. So I've got -2/3 x plus 6 is greater than -12. I need to get x by itself. So I move the 6 over. Now I'm going to get rid of my denominator. I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. These go away, so I get -2x is greater than -54. And the last thing I have to do is divide both sides by -2. When you divide by a negative, reverse your inequality. And we got 27. So I've solved my inequality. Here it says determine and state the largest integer value that lies in the solution set. I would always recommend that if you're trying to figure out a solution set that you graph it on a number line. So on a number line, here's 0, here's 27. 27 is going to have an open circle because there's no line under the inequality. X is less than 27 goes this direction. It's important to remember 27 is not in the solution set because it's an open circle. So the largest integer that is in the solution set is 26. Okay. A movie theater's popcorn box is a rectangular prism with a base that measures 6 inches by 4 inches. So we've got a box here. The base measures 6 inches by 4 inches, and the height is 8 inches. And always on these, make sure that you've got consistent units. To create a larger box, both the length and the width will be increased by X. So that means my length needs to be increased by X, and my width needs to be increased by X. The height will remain the same. Which function represents the volume? Well, volume is length times width times height. So my length is now 6 plus X. My width is 4 plus X. And my height remained the same. So since the height remains the same, I'm going to get rid of 1 and 3 because those increase the height by X. And then it comes down to 2 and 4. 2 is the only one that multiplies. If g of x is equal to this, then g of negative 4 is. So once again, when you see a function, I want you to graph it. So I'm going to go ahead and put in negative x squared minus x plus 5. I'm going to go to menu, trace, graph trace. If I want to find g of negative 4, I'm going to type in negative 4, and I can see it's negative 7. So there's my answer. And the last one, they give us this graph, and they want to know what's a possible equation for this function. So what I did was I went into my calculator, and I graphed each of the answer choices. Here's answer choice 1. That does not match that graph, so it can't be 1. Here's answer choice 2. That also doesn't match the graph, so it can't be that. Here's answer choice 3. Now, I can't really see up too high on the graph. I'm curious what this does, so I'm going to go ahead and make this bigger. Let me make that like 20. Oh, that looks pretty similar, so I'm going to keep 3. I think that's it. But I'm going to check the last one just in case. Again, I can't really see up high enough, so I'm going to go ahead and, oh, this looks like it's going really high. Wow. Yeah, and that does not look like it. So I am confident with my answer choice being 3. That is the end of this set of 12 problems. I hope you did well.